Greeting and welcome to Africa Cyber Academy. In today's video, we are going to cover AWS Restart Lab 11. The lab title is Introduction to Amazon EC2 Instance. If you go to your modules, you will click at the lab and it will get to a new tab. Normally it takes some time, about a minute, and then you will get this interface. So before we just dive into it, we shall start our lab. You will start your lab by clicking start, and you wait for the upper left icon named AWS to turn green. So in this lab, we have a couple of things that we should be finishing. The topics that will be covered are launch a web server with termination protection enabled, monitor your EC2 instance, modify the security group that your web server is using to allow HTTP access, resize your Amazon EC2 instance to scale, test termination protection, and eventually terminate your EC2 instance. This lab should take approximately 45 minutes to complete. So let us wait for it to be active. Still it is not, so sometimes it might take time depending with the strength of your internet. So in this lab we are going to be following each and every instruction that has been put here. You don't have to come up with your own thing. So as you can see, our lab is ready. And what are some of the things that we should actually do? So the very first step is naming our instance. So we will name our instance, and the name tag that we've been given, we have been told to use the web server as the name. And then on the second step, what we are going to be doing, we are going to be choosing an Amazon machine image. In these instructions here, we've been told to use Amazon Linux 2 AMI, Amazon machine image. That is exactly what we are going to do. In step 3, we have to choose an instance type, and the instance type that we've been told to choose is T3 micro. And then after that, we are going to be configuring a key pair, but the instructions that have been given here say that proceed without a key pair. So we are going to do that exactly. And then at step 5, we are going to configure the network settings. So we will use the lab VPC. We are going to be using the lab VPC, and then we are going to configure a security group. And the security group that we should be configuring is web server security group, and we are going to be having a description there, security group for my web. So let us just start our lab. So it is opening in a new window. So the AWS management console will come up. Yes, there it is. There it is. There it is. Right, still taking a little bit of time. And then once we've set our security group, what do we need to do? As I saying, within the security group, we should edit the inbound security group rules to just do away with it. So in this lab, you will not log in using SSH, so we are going to be removing SSH, and then we have to add a storage, of course. So we're going to be using 8 GB disk volume. That is the default one that is already there. And at step 7, we're going to be configuring advanced settings, advanced configurations. So we will input some user data. We are going to be configuring an Apache web server, HTTP. So this one, we just want it to automatically install this server each and every time, so that each and every time we log in, we don't do the installation. That's why we are using the /y, okay? And then systemctl enable HTTP. So at here we're going to be just configuring the web server to automatically start on boot. We don't have to start it each and every time, and then we have to activate it using systemctl start HTTP, and then we put something in this web page, so just a simple web page, and then we can now launch our EC2 instance. So let us navigate. So if you go to services, the first thing, so under compute we have EC2 instances. So we'll go at the instances, and as you can see here, we don't have okay, so you have to look at some things here just a little bit. Okay, you have to confirm your name, you have to confirm your region, but since this one we are given, so everything is basically automatic, but sometimes you might find that you're not in the right region and you might want to actually change to the right region. We don't okay, we have two security group, we have key pairs 1, but in this we are not going to be using any. We don't have load balancers, we have 0 volumes. So let us just launch our EC2 instance. Okay, and then the web server is the name they said, and under AMI the instructions were that we use Amazon Linux. Okay, so that is what we're going to be using. You have to at least confirm that it is Amazon Linux that you've selected, and then the architect is 64-bit, and the instance type we're told to use T3, so we're going to use T3 micro, and key pairs we're told to proceed without, so that is exactly what we're going to do. And then under network and settings we have to edit, so we have various VPC here, but we're told to use the lab VPC. We have 2 VPCs, but we're going to be using the lab VPC. Under the subnet we can just let it that way because we have 2, but we can use any auto assign public IP, everything we leave that way. And then we can create a security group. The security group that we're told to create, this is the name, so we are just going to be following everything that we've been told here. So that is the security group, and then the description is that a security group for web server. Take that security group for web server, right? And then under inbound security groups we are told to remove as at now, and then we configure storage. We are going to be using 8 GB, G3 depending with your workload, but that is just okay for now because that is what we've been told. And here we have to check something. As per the instructions we are told that we are going to enable what we call termination protection. So we have to get to termination protection. So here termination protection, and we enable that, and then we have to navigate to user data. We're simply going to use this. So navigate to user data down here. Here is where user data is. Of course we can change a little bit of this if you wanted to, maybe say let's put something there. Okay, and then after that everything is okay. We can just launch our instance, and then now we proceed to the second step. Takes a little bit of like 1 minute. So our instance has been successfully launched. If you want to see our instances again, we navigate to instances to check if our instance is already launched. Alright, so we have the web server that is already running, but the status checks has not completed. It's not yet complete. Therefore, we have to keep refreshing until we have the status checks complete. It is important to check that. So instance state running, status checks running. Yeah, we need to check all that. So still not yet. We need to be a little bit patient. Of course, this is an environment, so patience. Right, taking a little bit of its time. So let us just try again. Sometimes it could actually take that. Let's see. But what can we see now? Even before, so we have our public IP address here. We have the instance ID. We have the private IPv4. We have the public IPv4. DNS. We have the host name type. We have the private IP DNS name. We have VPC ID. Yeah, we have all these. Instance ARN, subnet ID. All these have been just from a single firing up of that particular instance. You can see all the information that we already have there. All those. This is taking a little bit longer, but let us refresh once more. Yeah, so our status checks here. Okay, so we have the system checks up, good. Instance status checks, EBS attached volume status checks, good. Everything is now good. So the second bit is we're being asked, because we're already done with task 1. So the task 2 is testing how well we can be at monitoring our instance. Okay, so we go to monitoring tab, and then under action, then we monitor and troubleshoot. Then get the instance screenshot. So we've already connected. We've already clicked our instance, selected our instance. So instance state, instance actions. Okay, we go to monitor and troubleshoot. We can get instance screenshot. Yeah, it is just working fine the way it is. Yeah, that is what we actually wanted. If you want to download it, you can download it, but in this case, we just wanted to get a screenshot, of this particular instance. We can just cancel afterwards. We don't really need that. We can go back to our instances and we proceed to the next step. Okay, so up to there we are done with step 2. So task 3 is we have to update our security groups and then access the web server. So security group is a stateful firewall that stays at the instance level, and it is very important for us to enable this security group because it is going to allow traffic in and out of our instance. So therefore we navigate to secure network and security, and then we click the security group. Remember, we had set a security group. We did set a security group. Yeah. Okay. We can go to our instances again. Go to security. Let's check security groups. Yes, the web server, security groups. Right. That is it. Just doubting it. This is the default. Let me just increase this. Yeah, you have to increase that for you to see your right instance. Okay, your right security group. So we have the web server security group. This is the security group that we're interested in. Okay, and then so we can just try to minimize that. And then what we need to actually do is to edit. Remember, we had deleted the default rules that were there. Okay, so we go to inbound rule. Inbound means traffic that is coming into the instance, and then we edit. So we need to enable HTTP. That is what the instructions here are saying, that we need enable HTTP through port 80 to allow you to access your instance. So we can search for HTTP custom everywhere. Okay, source. source from anywhere. Okay, this, we should allow this to be accessed from anywhere. Okay, so we can say maybe access, allow web access. Okay, then we can just add this rule. All right, so the next thing we should actually test, but we ought to have tested that just before we added our security group, our instance reachability. Okay, details. So let us take this and try to see. Okay, let's try to see there if you're going to be reaching our instance. Okay, actually yes, it is there, but I did this just after. Before that, before we had, okay, we can just can do the honorable thing and come back to our security groups. Yeah, here select our web server security group, and then we can edit the security group, and then we delete this rule, and then we save the changes. So let us try to access again our server. Is it going to be available again? Is our server going to be reachable? Is it reachable? Yeah. And then in this particular lab, there's an issue. If you have to click this link directly, if you click that link directly, even after adding a security group rules, you will not actually reach the instance. Okay, so try to manually copy paste. Just that way, whatever I have done there, and then you try to reach it. Okay, let's try to make it a little bit faster. As you can see, obviously it is unreachable, but let us just get that error. Let us wait for the error. Still searching it. Yeah, it is taking time. So as opposed to when we had actually added a security group rule, you saw that was very fast and it was reachable. So let us just I hope by the time we're doing this, we shall have gotten the result. It will be already out. Okay, so we click on it, our security group, and then under the inbound rules we can add a rule. Still not yet. Still searching and searching and searching. Let's try and reach it. Unreachable. Okay, right, so let us do HTTP yes, anywhere IPv4, allow web access. So what are they saying? They say it can't be reached. Okay, taking too long, taking your proxy and firewall, things of that sort. That is the error. So let us save again and see whether we are still going to face that particular problem. Are we still going to face that particular problem? Move back to our instances. We take this manually, and then we just paste it in our browser. Here it is. So up to that particular point, we are done with our testing our instance. Okay, the reachability of that particular instance, and then task 4 requires us to resize the instance type and EBS volume. One thing that you have to understand and you have to keep in mind always, as long as you're going to be using the AWS services, is that before you resize your instance, before you make any changes to your instance, you have to make sure that you stop that particular instance. Okay, so you're going to stop this instance. just instance, we go to the instance state, so stop it. So we need to resize it. So this one, why do we need to resize? You might realize that sometimes, depending on your workload, your instance might be underutilized or overutilized, and therefore you might actually want to change the instance type. So maybe from T3 to a bigger one, okay, or maybe to a smaller one, depending with what your workload actually looks like. So here we are going to be changing this particular instance to it is saying M3 medium, okay. So M3 medium, that is what we are going to do. So instance settings, and then under instance settings we can actually change I was wondering what was up. Okay, so we can actually change the instance type. You can see all the actions that we can actually do under instance setting. Change termination protection, stop, change stop protection, change shutdown. This one is you just check. Okay, so in this particular lab you are required to change the instance type. So that is what we are going to be doing from T3 to, we are required to change it to M5 medium. Okay, so we're going to search for M5 medium. M5.medium. Yeah, so that's what we're going to do. Once we're done, we just change. Okay, let me see. M5 large, M5 extra large. Okay, so apparently M5 medium is not there, so we can change it even to T2 T2 nano. Okay, what we need to do is to demonstrate that we can actually change it. Okay, so we've changed it, and then we should also change the EBS volume. Okay, so the next stage, what we're supposed to be doing is to resize the EBS volume. So we will come to EBS, and then under the volumes, and then under the actions. Remember, we already have volume attached to this, so we have to select our volume, and then under action we modify the volume, so we can increase this to 10 as per the instructions, and then we click modify, and then click modify once more. Well, up to that we are done with instance resizing, and of course resizing the volume type that you have. So the next stage is task 5, and the task 5 requires us to test termination protection. So termination protection is we should actually enable this. The whole essence of us enabling that was because we don't want to actually delete our instance. We don't want to delete our instance accidentally. For example, right now, if you go to instance state and we try to delete this instance, what will happen? Yeah, we are going to be told that you can't do this, okay, because we enabled termination protection. So if you want to change that, actually you still come to instance settings and then change termination protection. So we had enabled it, we can disable it, and then we just save. So this other time round, if we try to terminate this particular instance, then it would terminate. Okay, so as you can see, it is stopping and then it is shutting down. So up to that particular point we are done with this lab, and once you're done with this lab, it is shutting down. So just let it to shut down, because that is just a state. The next thing that you're supposed to be doing, make sure that before you end this particular lab, you have to submit it the way I'm submitting mine that way, so that it is recorded in the canvas. Okay, so submission recorded successfully. It is generating a report. Yes, this is a new feature that has been introduced, so you have to make sure that you actually submit your lab before you end it. So the score is 1 out of 1. Everything seems to be good, and then at this particular time in point, we can end this lab. Thank you so much, and meet you in the next lab that we will be doing.